The presidential primary season will soon be here, and a new poll shows some astonishing trends in the voting preferences of young Americans. Polling for the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, YouGov found that 70% of millennials and 64% of Generation Zers say they'll likely vote for a socialist candidate. And 1 out of 5 millennials say they think the Communist Manifesto better guarantees freedom and equality than the U.S. Declaration of Independence. Astonishing. Joining us is someone who knows socialism well. He's Daniel DiMartino. He's from Venezuela, and he's a U.S. spokesperson for the political movement Vente Venezuela. Daniel, what did you think when you heard these poll results?
It was surprising, of course, but expected in the sense that it's similar to last year's. But it's really surprising that it's 70% of young people supporting a system like this, the one that I had to flee my country from. And it's something that definitely needs to change if we want to keep this nation free.
Okay, so what do American young people need to know about socialism as it's being practiced today in Venezuela? What don't they get?
They need to get that all these free things have a huge cost, and their cost is our freedom. In Venezuela, the cost was through shortages and high inflation. In the United States, with the programs that many in the democratic socialists are proposing, might be, less freedom of speech. It might be lower wages, more unemployment, and even higher inflation, depending on how they pay for these programs.
And you were a part of a political movement that isn't even allowed in Venezuela. Is that correct?
That's right. We're not an authorized political party by the government. We're the only free market political party in the country, so it's really not surprising that they don't want us to exist.
So tell us what else. What else do we need to know about communism and socialism and the way it oppresses people?
Yeah, one important thing here is that, and I think the reason for these poll results, these astonishingly terrible poll results, is that education needs to change in this country. It is not acceptable that 1 in 10 millennials or 1 in 10 also Gen Zers, people who are even younger than millennials, think that Donald Trump has committed more human rights violations than Hitler or Stalin. That is not acceptable. That means schools are not teaching about the Holocaust and are not teaching about the starvation in the Soviet Union, right? So schools need to teach that better. Families need to teach better their children about freedom, about patriotism, about God. Communism is the religion of state-imposed atheism. You cannot be a communist and follow God's teachings.
Well, I know you're just finishing up college right now. So what has your experience been at your university that you're attending?
Yeah, my experience, it's been that there's very few people who are actual socialists, who know what it is, who want to abolish private property, who want to destroy, basically everything that the United States is based upon, the freedom that the U.S. is based upon. I think that most of the people who are supporting this word, that is simply a word, socialism, they think it's just free things. So what I've been able to do is just discuss policy by policy. What do they support? Why do you think this policy would be good or bad? And if you go into the details, a lot less people really are socialists. They're just against the current status quo. So they need to be provided an alternative so that they don't become socialist.
Well, do they realize, those that you talk to, that there's no such thing as free stuff? That basically somebody has to pay. I'm thinking of some of the candidates that were saying, hey, free college tuition, this, that, or the other thing free. Taxpayers have to foot that bill, don't they? And that means young people when they get into the workforce.
The huge problem there is that they think the rich can pay for it. And so they need to be told a very basic fact. There is not enough money among the top 1% to pay for free healthcare, free college, and free housing, on free everything like the Democrats are proposing. There's simply not enough money to tax away from the rich to pay for those programs. And even if you were to tax them 100%, then if you do, then you just destroy the U.S. economy. So we have to find alternative ways to reduce costs. We have to propose bold free market alternatives to reduce cost if we want to challenge the socialists in America.
Daniel, what has your experience been? Do any of them that you talk to know about what's happening in Venezuela and why?
Most of them do not, unfortunately. And in fact, in the Victims of Communism poll, they also talked about that. Only half of Americans know what's going on in Venezuela. That's very low. And I think that if we spread the news of the reasons I had to flee my country, which were that the government took over the means of production, just like Karl Marx supports, just like socialists support. They gave free healthcare, free housing, free food, all of the things that the Democrats want to give here, or the most radical Democrats. I think that if more young Americans knew about what was going on in Venezuela and the policies that were implemented, they would be less likely to be socialist.
Well, education is the way to reverse the trend. Daniel, we appreciate you taking the time. Daniel DiMartino of Vente Venezuela, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.